Okay, this is kind of cool. The Joe Sarno. You know Joe Sarno? I've only ever vaguely been aware of Joe Sarno. Years ago, I picked up a great book, one of those research books called Incredibly Strange Films, and it was about all these different filmmakers that did kind of cult and weird movies from the, let's say, 50s, 60s, 70s era. And Joe Sarno had a chapter in that, and I never was able to see his movies. They never played on cable. They were never really easily attainable on home video that I knew about, but I was always really curious. Well, now, in the era that we live in with digital releases and digital meaning DVD, Blu-ray, and all that, a lot of cult labels have stepped in, Dark Force Entertainment being one of them, and do these really nice editions of movies that most people don't know or cult fans have been only ever reading about for years. With that, I say we have from 1966 Joe Sarno's Moonlighting Wives as a release on the Dark Force label. This is a movie, it's really interesting to me. So it was cool to finally be able to see this. The transfer looks phenomenal. This is taken from the original camera negative. It's 4x3, 133, so it's, you know, it's square on your TV screen, which is fine, how it was originally released. And, you know, you say it looks like it was shot yesterday. It looks like 1966, but the quality of it is so sharp and the colors are so good. It's rich color, it's vibrant color, and I always come back to skin tones. It looks natural, you know, it looks phenomenally good. What is this movie about? 86 minutes. This movie is about a bored housewife who, a moonlighting wife, who is a secretary, and she does night work for people and for men, for businessmen, and finds one way or another that, wow, you know, there's a lot more money to be made if I'm selling myself to these people for an evening than my typing skills. So she does a little of that, likes the money, and starts building, I'm not gonna tell you the whole story, she starts building a stable, basically, of women for her, what is it, secretarial, private secretarial pool, sure, let's call it that. And basically she's basically finding fellow bored housewives who could use a little extra money to spend some time with gentlemen callers in the evening. And it's surprisingly not very salacious. It really feels like an episode of a mid-60s soap opera. I mean, it's nicely shot and nicely lit, and it's not a lot of nudity. Now, what's interesting about this version is that this is touted as, or I mean, it is the most uncut version that has hit home video. It has 5 minutes extra of nude scenes and sex scenes, but it's not explicit. Like, there is nudity in this, but it's very, very tame. It's like, if you know what I'm talking about, it's like, think early Playboy. It's not explicit. It's a little up top. It's a little in the behind. That sounds dirtier than it was meant to be. It's very soft nudity, let's say, and really, seriously, not very much of it. So that's what's really interesting to me about watching this, is that I'd always heard about Sarno's films is that he was a very pioneering erotic filmmaker and sexploitation filmmaker in the 60s and 70s. And I expected this to be a lot sleazier, frankly, than it was. It's really a lot of people talking in rooms. It's a lot of drama. It's like adult drama because of the subject matter, especially for the time. But it's really not. It's an R-rated movie. It doesn't really linger on the nudity or the sex scenes or anything. It's just like a really kind of fascinating snapshot of a moment in time in American culture, American kind of culture behind closed doors, kind of, and filmmaking, really, because these movies played theaters. Apparently, according to the supplemental features on this, these movies played theaters for a long time. Like, this movie played theaters well beyond the point where probably an audience wanted to see something like this, but it would just be put like really late on the bill at a drive-in. Maybe like the third, fourth movie at a drive-in, where at that point, whoever's left probably doesn't really care that much, and if they don't care, they just leave. But, you know, they paid for 4 movies and they're being given 4 movies. So that's the basic idea of the film. Apparently it was Joe Sarno's first color film. He'd done black and white up to this point. I'm really interested in seeing more Sarno films because, as I said, he's somebody I've read about for many years, but I've never been able to see anything from. And I know there's at least 1 or 2 labels who are putting out more and more Sarno releases. This is an excellent release. This looks and sounds so good. It has one actor in it, and I'm not sure if I can find his name quickly, but it's an actor who you would recognize. Maybe I can't find it, sorry. So it's an actor who played on the Rockford Files, and he always played a cop, and I'm pretty sure he played Vincent Bugliosi in the Helter Skelter TV movie. So mostly faces you've never seen before in this, unless you've watched a lot of this kind of movie. There were certain actors or actresses who would kind of traffic in these movies for a bit, but there is one actor who would go on to do some pretty well-known stuff later in his career. Shot in and around Long Island. Shot in and around, apparently, Amityville, New York, interestingly enough. So if you're from that area or you want to see a snapshot of what that area looks like, none of this was done on sets, apparently. This was all done in apartments and on the street and outdoors. So you see old buildings, you see old storefronts, you see the inside of old motels. They do list the name of one of the hotels at the end of the film if you want to look it up. And just a wonderful, beautiful snapshot of a moment in time and a kind of movie. It reminded me a lot of The Love Witch. If you've seen Anna Biller's The Love Witch, that the style of that I always knew was paying tribute to early Russ Meyer and Radley Metzger, and now I realize Joe Sarno. The movie, it's played straight. It is a drama, but it's so kitschy when you watch it now. You could take it as the kind of thing The Love Witch was. Like, you can watch this movie and probably have more fun with it than Sarno intended, because it is so earnest in its dramatics. The people are so made up to a T stylistically for the time. The guys have the slicked back hair and the pompadours, and the women have the tall hair and the finely put together dresses and things like that. And it plays kind of on a kitsch level now that I don't think was originally intended. But it reminded me a lot of The Love Witch, partly in how it's performed, how it's shot and blocked and edited, and how good that color looks. Extras, we have the deleted nude scene, which is about 4 minutes and looks as good as the rest of the movie. So it's not like it's a deleted scene that looks really junky or was taken from a tape. It looks perfect. You have a commentary with Joe Sarno, biographer Michael Bowen. That's very good, very interesting. Interestingly, I could tell by my ear that it was done via Zoom, because I do a podcast that's done with Zoom, and I know all the things that I have to edit out when Zoom gets a little funky, and I heard a couple of those things in there, and part of me was like, well, I'm surprised I didn't edit that. And then it was clearly a conversation to a degree. Somebody was prompting Bowen on what to talk about, and I was a little surprised also that they left that prompting discussion in this recording and didn't just cut those pieces out and make it be silent right there. Not really a complaint, I was just surprised, because usually you don't hear the back and forth with the moderator to the degree that you did here. It's not a lot, it's only a couple times. Bowen will be prompted and they'll talk for a long time, and then they'll say, well, did you want to talk about this? Okay, great, and then he'll talk about that, which is totally cool. It's not really a scene-specific commentary so much, but it's nonstop information, and it's really interesting and occasionally amusing information too, from a guy who knew Joe Sarno, so it's great. You also get Michael Bowen discussing the life of Joe Sarno. That is, looking at my notes, I think that's about 15 minutes or so. You get, well, that's all you get, but it's really good. If you want to see what the packaging looks like, I really like this too. So basically the packaging it's either a reprint or a reproduction of what the original poster or print ads looked like. So it's all the ballyhoo. Nothing is cut out. Nothing is uncensored. Nothing is hushed up. Nothing is covered up. Nothing is left to your imagination. And so that's for your information. That's the front of it. That's the back of it. And again, it's like, it's a nice package as far as making it look like the old ad mats. And I'm a super fan of old ballyhoo and advertising and things like that. So I love it when that gets included in the packaging for disc release. So I really enjoyed. It's not a great movie. It's not tons of fun. It's not a laugh riot, but I think it's fascinating, well made, and really, really gorgeous to look at. So available now from Dark Force Entertainment on Blu-ray is Joe Sarno's Moonlighting Wives.